moved out the political prisoners that had a female prison inside. I mean, it's a huge complex. And all of a sudden, guys that had been in solitary confinement for over 4 years all of a sudden walked into a room, and they had 40 roommates. This is what a small group of dedicated Army, Navy, and Air Force, Marine Corps did for us. Each one had a particular mission. The Army led the way with the Air Force as the bus drivers, you might say. We furnished the transportation because we had faster helicopters than the Army did at that particular time and could carry more. But that's what we do for each other. Once we moved in, reality was there was probably anywhere from 40 to 60 guys that would never survive in another 2 years on the conditions we were living under. But they got to come home and live out their life with their loved ones because of a few dedicated men who believed in the mission. I saw my military at its finest. When the Vietnamese came into that room of 40 plus individuals and said, "You're in charge," the senior ranking officer stood up and said, "No, I'm in charge." In some rooms it went 5 and 6 deep. Each time the next senior ranking officer stood up. And we won our first major victory with the Vietnamese. A lot of things had happened up to that point. Ho Chi Minh had died, and they were really, I think they were just like us, looking for an end to the war. And as a result of that, our seniors could plead for medical assistance and anything we needed to make sure that we all had the opportunity to come home. I remember during that period of time, a friend of mine from southern Alabama, come from humble beginnings, and he talked about this American flag. He said, all my life we have had a flag in my home to remind me of the country that I love. And Mike set out to make the first flag that was ever flown in North Vietnam. He took simple materials, anything he could gather from buttons to a simple piece of clay pebble, anything he could take and attach. And in the back of that long sleeve shirt, he took string from the blanket that was given to him. He took a bamboo stick and sharpened it into a needle and carefully put every stitch in there, building the first American flag using cigarette ashes and clay tile from the roof to make the colors he wanted to give the stars and bars and stripes of our flag. Senator McCain was in the room when Mike unfurled the flag. He was in the room next to us. And he described the moment as these guys, we think of them as old, but most of them were in their 30s. They'd been to hell and back. But when they saw that flag, they stood up proudly and recited the Pledge of Allegiance together. That's who we were. Mike secured that flag during the day, and then at night he would display it in the room. And unfortunately, the Vietnamese pulled a surprise inspection and they found that flag and they went ballistic. Mike, being the person he was, went charging to the front of the room, identifying himself as the maker of the flag. And as a result of that, he took a rock butt across the back of the head and fell feet first in front of his roommates. As they moved forward to help Mike, the Vietnamese locked and loaded and grabbed Mike and drug him out of the room feet first. We could hear Mike as he was screaming with pain as he was beaten. Not for military information, not even propaganda, just because he wanted to share an American flag with his brothers. Eventually, Mike was brought back just like he left, feet first, semi-unconscious. McCain tells the story that they weren't sure Mike would survive the beating he had taken. But with cold water, washcloth, and prayer, Mike eventually recovered. Eventually, one day, with a grin from ear to ear, Mike sat up in the middle of his bed and announced to the roommates, "Time for flag number 2. You never give up, you never give in, you roll with the punches, you bounce back, you get ready for the next round."